Hi everyone, my name is Philipp Gleisner. I'm working for Invest in Bavaria. We are the business promotion agency of the state of Bavaria, and we are taking care of the needs of foreign companies who want to settle in our region. You can compare us more or less to guided city tours or tourist information, of course on a high level, but to give you an idea. We provide orientation, we deliver contacts, we deliver information, and whether it's for founding a legal entity or for the site search for a production site all over Bavaria. We do this, of course, confidential and free of charge, and we are there for the companies as long as they need us. In terms of delivering information, we are hosting this panel today. Sure. I believe there are many panels at IAA. They are discussing the future of mobility and how this might look like. And clearly, we are not looking at only one product branch or one sector, but at a radical transformation and a complex systemic change. In our opinion, for this you need a vibrant, innovative ecosystem, and of course the willingness to work with sectors and branches you haven't been working up to date. And then the terms we use for this is cross-industry innovation. As an introduction, we will see a short clip about cross-industry innovation and how we imagine it. And afterwards, we will start with the panel and discuss why Bavaria can play a strategic role and maybe is particularly good at cross-industry innovation.
Bavaria is an economic powerhouse. It is home to many global players in sectors like automotive, medical technology, manufacturing, and also a key location for financial services. At the same time, Bavaria is one of the world's leading startup ecosystems, with many world-class universities, research facilities, startup hubs, and investors. But what we are really proud of is our talent to bring both worlds together.
Okay, now let's have a look who is on the podium here with me today. We have Dr. Franz Glatz. Nice to have you here. He's Managing Director of BRIC. This is the tech incubator of the region of Ingolstadt. Franz, you bring a long-term experience in developing and supporting innovative and creative startups and creating these ideas into businesses. And moreover, you're a lecturer at the Technical University of Munich for design thinking and idea generation.
Yep.
Yeah. Gabriele Simino, nice to have you here as well. You're a product manager at Hyperloop program that won several SpaceX competitions from Elon Musk. You currently work as a research assistant at TU Munich, and you aim for making climate-neutral high-speed transportation systems reality in the future. At least on the right, Lynn Kaiser, welcome on stage. You're a serial entrepreneur who worked in diverse industries from industrial automation to image processing, and you're well experienced in building tech ventures, globally active, and you're passionate about sustainability. Yeah. Gabriele, I will start with you. Perfect. Directly on my right, on my left. TU Hyperloop program of the Technical University in Munich is, yeah, you can call it a poster child of successful innovation. You won every single one of Elon Musk's challenges in California, the SpaceX, of course against world-class teams. First, maybe for the persons who do not know about the Hyperloop, 1 or 2 sentences, what is the project all about? And then afterwards, by coming from TU Munich and Bavaria, any advantages and reasons why you won all these
Obviously. I wouldn't be here if not. So maybe first of all, a couple of words about Hyperloop. So Hyperloop is a transportation system concept that was introduced in 2013 by Elon Musk. And in principle, he published this vision about a series of pod traveling to vacuum tubes at very high speed, which could be used to connect cities. For instance, we always say Munich to Berlin in like around 40 minutes. That's roughly the vision. And Elon Musk, a couple of years later, started organizing a competition, the so-called SpaceX Hyperloop pod competition, with his company SpaceX in Los Angeles, California. And a group of students here at the TU Munich started taking part in this competition. There were 4 in total between 2016 and 2019. And fortunately, we won all of them. And I'm fortunate enough to be part of 4 of them. And obviously, I think it's not totally a coincidence, obviously, that the Munich team was very successful. I think it's a combination of a couple of factors. The first one is the project was run by students but financed by companies. So we are very fortunate here in Munich to have a very diverse, like a very large number of companies, but also diverse companies. We have global players, huge companies, DAX companies that are here in Munich that are very willing to support students. And we have also a lot of smaller companies that have competencies in very specific field and world-renowned competencies and world-level companies in those class that were willing to help us, willing to work with us, and so that being in the design or the manufacturing, we were able to work with companies that are very leading edge on what you can do. So that was from a company's point of view, absolutely from the industry that helped us a major advantage. Then we had the next step, which was like being supported by the networks that are here in Munich. We are from the TU Munich, so Unternehmertum in Garching. We were also in Garching was a major source of contacts, but also support in all the challenges that we had throughout these projects. And then last, but definitely not least, I think the main point that I need to mention is obviously the success was a success of the team. So we were always 30 to 40 students from several faculties, and obviously the major contributing factor, I have to say, was the team. Obviously, so the students coming from TU Munich, getting the education from TU Munich, so being very good in their fields, and then coming together, working together on a project like that. I want to stress here in particular, when you're building something for a competition, being at Hyperloop, or there are now several projects like this at TU Munich where you're trying to build something. Really, several disciplines need to come together, being engineering, aerospace, automotive, being electrical engineering, informatics, software, all these competencies, and also marketing, and obviously since we have a project that we need to make happen. So all these competencies need to come together, and this is something that the TU Munich really supports and really helps us, and that obviously was a major factor, I would say, to all the successes at the SpaceX competition.
Okay. So it is great to hear that it's not a trouble to come together at different departments, but
absolutely not.
It's on the other end is really supported by the TU Munich.
Yeah.
So Franz, Gabriele just said it's the network within the universities work great. It's even supported. You're involved in countless incubators and networks. At the moment, it's Air Mobility in Ingolstadt and the new test center in Manking for unmanned air travel. Your approach to get the bright minds together.
Okay, yeah. As you said now, I'm just now at the Air Mobility. It seems that it will be not the last step. And, so life don't know how it will go on. In my opinion is that in former times, 20 years ago, when I started my career helping, supporting startups to coming into business, there was a technology focus. So there was in the first time I'm running an incubator for software companies. So they are just software companies. The next step was about media companies. So I'm working with ProSieben Sat.1, with the public broadcasters. And then it just started that that's not normal just to work with one industry. And then the digital topic comes up. And so we said we should try to install an incubator, a place where startup can work together, share knowledge, share experience about not one topic of a technology more than how an entrepreneur has his problems, and it's not facing about IA or something about software or air mobility. It's more where's the problem, and so to share it. This was the first time I come into these networks, as you know. But the people down there. They don't know I'm a chemist, so I started my studying like a chemist. I was very confused to see new things, and now I'm working in the air mobility field and speak to people who just build drones, who build mobility systems from the two-dimensional to the three-dimensional, and for me it's a wonderful world when people from different disciplines come together. About 10 years ago, people said to me, "You are not a chemist, you are not a startup supporter, you're just a networker." So I have a big smartphone somewhere in my pocket where I have about, I think, 2,500 contacts. So I don't call these people every day, but I said to Gabriel in the backstage, there are a lot of people I can just phone, and the first question is, what about you? The second question is, what about your children? And then the third question is, why do you call me? What do you need from me? And that's what a network is, that you can call people, you know people. It's just not every day, but to be into contact. I think this is the best part of a network. And this I have learned these 20 years in Bavaria, that the people want to speak to each other, and I think that's the best place here. Some people said this network is about amigo, so these friendships behind, and they just help each other and not the whole world. Perhaps yes, but a network is to help the people to give something and then to get something back, but in the first step to help. And this is what I like, and so I think this topic of your campaign, it needs a network to grow, and it needs not just one industry. I think it's coming from this African proverb which said it needs a whole village to raise a child. So you need not just the father and the mother to grow this child. You need a whole network. You need people, the teacher, the medical doctor, the preach, I don't know who in this village. And this picture, I think that's this most important thing. And for me, I worked 20 years ago for the president of your university, of our university, and he explained me that new things are growing like a balloon, but not in the middle of the balloon. It's growing on the surface on a balloon, because the balloon there has the contact to the air, to another thing. And if two things come together and then get contact, a new thing will happen. It's quite the same like two persons coming together, making love, a new thing will happen. And that's, I think, the same thing about a network, that different people come together, join experience, join idea, perhaps dream, and then new things will come together. And this, I think, getting a beer, discussing about new things, that's the best place for Bavaria. And I think now we get a lot of money from Invest in Bavaria because we are making advert for this wonderful state.
It was very telling that you compare your job and your passion with making love.
Yeah, sure.
Networking is like making love. Yeah. And the second thing I really liked, but is, in my opinion, not given. You say you have 1,000 or more
2,500
contacts in your phone.
Yeah.
So you need a place where you can have 2,500 contacts, and they should be worthy as well to phone them, because you know, like from 2,500, most of them will be happy to support you in your network, or not like only cold calls.
Yeah, that's it's happens often that I'm just thinking by myself, should I phone him or her for this problem or for this idea? And then I say, yes, let's try it, or I send an email. And then always there are less answers or no answers. They say, yes, Franz, I want to help you. What's the problem? So, because people want to give something back.
Yeah, great.
And that's the big secret behind networking.
Yeah. Lynn, you're a networker as well, but moreover an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your startup's operating worldwide. So give us a glimpse about, is this right, what these two said? What are the advantages you see by having the headquarter of your startup in the Munich area or Bavaria? And what is it like compared to other innovative ecosystems around the globe?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? I've always done business internationally. So my last startup, we did software for Hollywood, of all places, and I started in my living room in Munich, and I over the years asked myself many times, why do I actually live in Munich, and why do I do these companies in Munich? Because I could have done them anywhere, and it would have been an advantage actually to do my last company in Hollywood or in the Silicon Valley or wherever. And I mean, isn't it nice here? I mean, that's the answer, right? It is really nice here. I mean, the standard of living in this city is extremely high. And that is a huge advantage for us as a company. In my current company, Hyperganic, we have, I think, 14 different nationalities. And they all come to Munich to live here because they enjoy living here. It's a beautiful city. It's the biggest village in Germany. You said it takes a village. And I think we sometimes forget about this. When you live in the Silicon Valley, I mean, if you want to commute from San Francisco to Palo Alto, it takes you an hour. If you want to go, to the next company, to the network of people that you're connected with in Munich, it takes 10 minutes, it takes 20 minutes. We have everything very concentrated, and that's really great. But I think the other thing that I really love about Munich is, because I've been here for 27 years now. I'm originally not from here. And what I've witnessed, that it has become really one of these great hubs of innovation, especially in technology, in the world. We have a world-class hub of innovation here. And you see this now in the last couple of years, with big companies like Google, Microsoft, etc., moving here, trying to tap into this ecosystem. And it is all of the things that you mentioned, right? It's the great universities. We have two of the best universities in the world right here in Munich. We have this network of companies, big and small, lots of startups. People used to go to Berlin for startups, and I always said, no, these are not startups. These are the guys, holding their coffee cups in their hands while they type with the other hand on the laptop. In Munich, you have startups that actually build real things, like a Hyperloop. I just want to stress what you guys just talked about. I mean, you talked about a revolutionary replacement for rail, a vacuum tube that transports people at the speed of sound. And you talked about urban air mobility. It sounds so harmless. We're talking about flying cars here, folks. So, we have all that, I have a fun story. So the first Hyperloop competition took place, at Elon Musk's parking lot, basically at SpaceX. And back then, nobody had really sponsored that Hyperloop competition. So I helped out a little bit by, basically making it possible that they could transport their pod over to California. And as I was standing on the parking lot with Elon, on Elon Musk's parking lot, I was talking to a guy called Josef Fleischmann, and he was part of the first Hyperloop team. And I asked him what he wanted to do next, and he told me about his idea to start a rocket company. And I said, yeah, that's a really good idea. And we helped each other out through the network. And half a year later, he started a company called ESA Aerospace, which is an orbital launcher company that now raised, I think, like 270 million euros in the past 18 months to start launching rockets by the end of this year. So this is really the power of the ecosystem here, and it is an international thing. I mean, it ties in, with these great international networks in the Silicon Valley, but also China. I mean, we have a subsidiary in Singapore, we have a subsidiary in China. I don't see a large difference in terms of speed of innovation when I compare Munich to Singapore, or some other places in China. And that is a real badge of honor, if you think about it. Because most people think, well, we're in Germany and Europe, we are kind of behind and we're always trying to play catch up. Not this region here. It's on the absolute cutting edge of technology everywhere, and you see really, really interesting new concepts, but you also see this connection to the big industry that is already established here. We have a long history in mobility, of course, with companies like BMW, Schaeffler, Herzogenaurach, not in Munich, a little bit off to the side, one of the largest automotive suppliers in the world, doing lots of other things as well. So I think, in a nutshell, we have one of the great innovation hubs in the world right in the city, and it doesn't feel like a terrible place, where there's a lot of anonymity. It still feels like a village that supports you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said it, this ecosystem attracts the Googles and the Apples.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned it 1 minute ago. Franz, I believe you share most of the views of Lynn, but often it's then the topic, of course, the Googles and the Apples, they can do it. They can easily tap in this ecosystem, and they have the money background. What would your advice be for a startup and a smaller company to be healthy? Like, what should they have in mind when they also like to come here and to tap in this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think in first step, you said it, the big ones, they don't need a network in the first step, because they say we have the power, the money to step in and say, hello, here we are. The smaller ones, I think, join networks, join perhaps startup incubators. So the startup incubators in the first step, people think they're just places where 5 students have an idea and form a business and perhaps then go on and find the first customer. No, these startups incubator are often the places where startups from abroad, which have a product ready for the market, came and say, hey, hello, you are here in the region, you know the region, you have the contacts to perhaps our first, second customer here in the region. Go to them, speak to them, do it like a first step into this region, go to these startup incubators like a new startup, like a new person, a new institution in the region, and you will get help.
Yeah.
This is my advice to each company. So you know it, I'm traveling a lot in former times, so I like to go to conferences to meet people. And then the startups of Austin, of Singapore, of Tel Aviv ask me how to go to Bavaria. And then I say, join these networks, talk to the startups there, you will get help, you will get the next step, and then we will have success here.
So it's kind of the same idea of before, like the people you will meet here in the network are willing to help and willing to cooperate.
Yeah. So sure, if you are just talking to a competitor in the first step, they say, no, it's not your, and I don't want to talk and so on. But on the second thing is, perhaps like you are talking to your competitor in the competition as well, because you can learn of them how to solve problems, how have they done, perhaps you can solve problems together. So sharing knowledge, sharing ideas, I think that's the business of startups, and startups like this to share experience and to create things together. That's not the business of a big corporate, because they say there is the wall and we don't want to look behind the wall. I think that's the invitation for all startups in the world. Come to Bavaria, talk to the Bavarian startups. They will love you, and they want, they like to talk to them.
Again, love.
Love, yeah. This picture again, yeah.
Lynn, besides the an advice for startups, do you have an advice for seasoned companies who want to tap in, or is it pretty much the same? Like, yeah, there's an ecosystem who wants to partner up.
Well, I mean, I think you mentioned this wall that corporates have. I think that is a big issue, and I think generally large corporations should kind of open up a little bit more. They should actually take startups seriously. I mean, I think a lot of them still think, yeah, they're playing in the sand there, where I'll do the real thing. Well, no longer. That used to be the case. It's no longer the case. So my advice for big companies and Mittelstand companies would be to really tap into this ecosystem more. Don't wall yourself off. I think for a large corporation or a Mittelstand, medium-sized company abroad, it would be very interesting to tap into the Munich ecosystem because there's this vibrant ecosystem of ideas. This sharing. I mean, I think this is spot on what you said. You can just bump into people and they share ideas and you get new ideas. It used to be like that. That was the big advantage of the Silicon Valley. In the Silicon Valley, random people bumped into each other and everybody was an entrepreneur and everybody had a new idea and everybody wanted to build something. Now you have the same thing here, and larger companies, they are not so used to that. That is not a German phenomenon. That is like a global thing. So I think they have to tap into this ecosystem and they have to network more.
Okay.
But if they come to Munich and if they open up, they will find a lot of support there, and they will probably get a lot of ideas that they have never thought about, and they will also find the people who actually work for them to actually support them.
Supporting, we have startups to startups, corporates to startups, and now we have students to corporates. Is this a topic you see as easy, or how's collaboration from students or the university to big corporates?
Well, I mean, a project like Hyperloop would have never happened if this kind of collaboration wasn't possible. So what was said is absolutely perfect. So in Munich, my experience also with Hyperloop over several years is that there is a lot of interest to listen to each other. There is a lot of interest to talking to each other and listen to new ideas. In principle, with Hyperloop, it's always a new idea every time I talk to somebody. And there is always an open ear for that. I mean, for the competitions, in particular, where it was all a student project, the financing was only done thanks to sponsoring. So thanks to companies supporting us. And not all companies support us, I'm not saying that, but there was always an open ear to really support us and talk to us. And the other thing I would like to mention, because I'm here obviously talking about Hyperloop, and I like to talk about Hyperloop, and I think with the Hyperloop project we've shown something that's very successful, and it's something I like to talk about, obviously, but we're not the only ones. So in particular, partially maybe inspired by what we did with the Hyperloop projects. There are now several projects at Technical University of Munich, and there were some projects also before that were very successful and are showing again that not only for Hyperloop, but for many topics, you can find corporates, you can find startups, you can find other people here in Munich that help you support that. We have a drone project that we're working closely together. There is a student project working on tunnel boring machines, again for a Elon Musk competition. So it shows that it's working, and people are coming together, people are trying new things out, and also companies are willing to support students and young initiatives to be successful.
The list of projects, spin-offs, startups from TU Munich is just a great one to scroll through.
And it's getting more, I think, here in Munich. It's getting more and more initiatives that are new ideas coming together, bringing people together, collaborating with the right partners, and from what I've seen, mostly being successful. So that's a good. Maybe there are in future more poster childs for the success of Bavaria.
We're running out of time, but I would just like to answer each of one question, maybe answer it in 2 sentences. We are writing a wish list because we will meet again in 2 years, at IAA on this panel, hopefully, can check what developed till then. So on the wish list, what would you put on a wish list regarding your topics like talent, networks, corporate? What's on your wish list and why? 2 sentences.
I think we should keep working together. Like what I just mentioned, being able to come together and help each other. We need to do more this because the innovation happens exactly when people with different backgrounds, with different industry come together. That we need that for Hyperloop in particular. So I need to mention that, but I think that's really important for several industries.
Okay, deepen the work on where you are on right now.
On interfaces between industries, yes.
Okay, Franz, more love.
Yeah. No. Yes. much more. My wish would be it's just that the IAA mobility topic is going on, because my wish would be that not these discussing about the technology, about cars, about fuel and so on. It's just more coming from the need of the customer. So let's discuss what a customer should need. So he needs mobility coming from point A to point B. And by what? It doesn't matter. It just, his wish should be in the discussion center and not the product. That would be my wish. Much more facing the customer, much less the product.
Okay, great, thanks.
So my wish is more like a general wish for everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, for the startup entrepreneurs here. Be bolder, be more international, so expand much more. This is still something where especially the Americans are usually beating us. We think we have the technology, etc. Everything is there, but we always think a little bit smaller. So be bolder, make it bigger. Munich is a great launchpad for international ventures. And the other wish is really, everyone who starts something, please let's focus on solving the big challenges of humanity. And we have a lot of stuff to work on, and technology is fundamentally the only thing that can solve it. So that's my wish. Let's be bolder and let's work on some of the really important things.
Okay, great, thanks. So, yeah, I liked it. I think this was a best example for the switch from IAA to IAA Mobility. Like, I think 1 or 2 mentions only of automotive, but talking half an hour about mobility. And I think we have seen that cross-industry innovation is the key and will be the key to develop an ecosystem even more that is shaping the future of the mobility. Like you said, collaboration, love, so there will no be the winner takes it all mentality in the future, hopefully. But instead the players need to work together. I think in summary, you can name more or less 4 points Bavaria has to offer to facilitate this cross-industry topic. So we have this diverse business landscape, each one of you mentioned. Of course, effective networks, the access to talent, and the mix of a global and local approach and perspectives. So thank you very much for your input. It was a pleasure talking with you.